Hello, everyone. I'm Maddie Smith, and this is That Time of the Week. Let's get into it. Congress approved a $600 stimulus for those who are under a certain income. Not to brag, I qualify, motherfucker. It was super exciting at first. I heard the $600, we will get them through an Amazon gift card. Really exciting. But then the House approved a bill to pass a $2,000 stimulus. And I thought, $600 plus $2,000, $2,600? So you're telling me you guys think I deserve a livable wage? What the fuck? But then, of course, rotting bag of bones, Mitch McConnell shot down the $2,000 so freaking fast. I was more disappointed than every Christmas. Okay? Really upsetting. I went from having hopes of shopping at Sephora to now having to go to Ulta. I had Talenti gelato in my cart, and now I gotta do Turkey Hill. It's really upsetting. My question is, does Mitch McConnell think that $2,000 is a lot of money? I mean, the guy is 5,000 years old. When he joined Congress in 1776, that was a year's salary. But I also think he's just evil. Now, if we only get $600, that's not going to help anyone. $600 is less stimulating than having sex with a guy, and then he finishes and says, that looked good for you, and then rolls over and goes to sleep. Does nothing for me. Honestly, the worst part about it, they're throwing numbers out there, 600, 2,000, 2,600. I don't care how much it is, but don't argue about it in front of me. It's like being in court for my child custody case. Too much information. I'd rather not know. It is a crime. Speaking of crime, New York City had the highest crime rate in 2020 in like 30 years. I get it. Coronavirus stole my livelihood. Okay? Coronavirus put me in an alley, held me at gunpoint, and said, give me your baby-making years right now. It's over. Personally, I haven't noticed the crime because I don't leave my place, but I will say things have gotten borderline homicidal in this house. But in my defense, Andrew is a loud chewer. It makes sense that crime is high. People can't afford PS5, so they want to play Grand Theft Auto in real life. I'm excited though. If New York City is going to be like the 70s and 80s, that means that I have a chance to be discovered as a stand-up comedian and have Larry David write a show starring me about nothing. And finally, the saddest news of the year. Women were impacted hardest by coronavirus because women make up most of essential workers and the people whose industries crumbled. Hospitality, home care. My only wish is that COVID affected Wonder Woman. Boy, was that movie bad. All right, but let's get the show started. I have one solo guest today, and you are gonna love her. She is an amazing comedian. She runs the Shift podcast. I usually open with a roast joke, but it feels weird with just the two of us. So usually there's like a group, but I don't want to be like, whoa.
I start crying.
I know. I was good. My roast joke, unrelated.
Okay.
It not related to you as a person. It is, she's not, surprisingly, she's not related to Susan Boyle. Give it up for Katie Boyle.
Hello.
Hi, what's going on? What's the 411?
You presumed I'm not related to Susan Boyle?
Yeah, because you're so beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm not.
But the joke is that you are not
ugly.
because everyone thinks Susan Boyle's fucking ugly.
Yeah.
If you don't know Susan Boyle, she was on America's Got Talent or The Voice or something.
England's Got Talent. I mean,
England's Got Talent? Like 10 years ago. And
whatever the UK version is.
yeah, she sang Les Mis song and was really good. And people were like, what? But you're so ugly. How did you do that? And I don't know where she is now. Is she putting out records? Oh, Scotland.
She's from Scotland, right?
Okay, cool.
I
literally don't know.
I could be wrong.
You
Maybe
guys all look the same to me.
I know.
Just walking potatoes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So, Katie, welcome to the podcast. We got a couple segments before we get into our topics. Our first segment is Let's Sync Up. Okay, so I like to start the pod with us syncing up with a question we can all answer that drives our hormones wild, stimulus related. What is something that you irrationally spend money on?
I feel like it's takeout, and I know that's not. My friends always say that I shouldn't feel guilty about that because it's like food.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm such a horrible person for eating. Yeah. But I feel like I get a lot of takeout when I could just walk to the store and cook meals for a few days.
Dude, I have a grocery store a block from me. And it's so easy to order and wait 45 minutes, even though I could go to there and back in 10 minutes and make a home cooked $5 meal.
I know, it's crazy.
It's so crazy.
But it's so nice.
It's so nice. I think the best thing is when you take the delivery backs from the man and it's like heavy and it's all warm.
Oh,
and
stop.
you pull
So lovely. It's my favorite thing.
You pull the items out and they're, if it's foil wrapped, mwah.
Yeah, it's so good. And then it's so disappointing if they do forget something. If you get like something and they forget the avocado or something, you're just like, oh, my heart hurts.
I know. And it literally happens like every time. So no fault to them. I understand people are busy. I would never complain, by the way, especially during the pandemic. But I think you have to expect the delivery is going to be missing something.
Yeah.
Which is why I always order more than I need for delivery, because then you're guaranteed enough food.
Yeah. Yesterday when I got my delivery, the rice was tiny. It was like a tiny little box, and there was loads of curry. So I was like, what did they do? And why did they do this to me?
What is going on here? You need a bucket of rice.
Right. And I was like, oh, I should have ordered my rice. But then actually it worked out fine, because I'd half the curry with my rice and the other half I had like a soup.
I do like eating curry like a soup.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I just want it alone.
Yeah, it was
I
lovely.
want the coconut. I don't want rice in here.
Yeah, it worked out well. It's like they knew me before I knew myself.
Yes, that's what they were like. It's Katie. Give her half the rice. She doesn't need the rest. We're a waste-free restaurant.
Yeah.
Takeout, definitely. I would say pre-pandemic, my irrational money spending thing was Ubers.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Especially you get out of a stand-up show at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You're like, the train takes 30 minutes, but an Uber is 25.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time saved.
Well, I do this thing, and where if we were doing a late stand-up show and it was like 1 a.m, I'd be like, oh, I should just get the train. It's like $3 or whatever.
Right.
But then I'll be like, what if you get murdered or
Lead
raped?
every time.
And I keep thinking, I'll feel so bad that I
Right.
didn't just spend that $30. So then I
Totally.
convince myself into getting an Uber.
Every time I'm like, what if tonight's the night when the guy comes at you?
And then I just think, they'll be stabbing me, and I'll be like,
Right.
oh, God, like that feeling of regret. Like,
No, you're like, I couldn't spend $30 to save my life.
Yeah, right.
And now I'm stabbed.
and then 4 of those a week, you're broke.
Oh, yeah. 4 weeks. I know. I think when I did my 2019 taxes, I wrote off Ubers because I'm a full-time comedian now. I wrote off Ubers, and boy, was I ashamed.
Yeah.
When you add that shit up, I spent like $10,000.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So fucking much.
I did the same, but I can't remember what. It wasn't this year, the year before. I was going as comedian because I had like paid shows that I was running, and I was able to claim off the taxis, but I was really embarrassed.
Really embarrassing. Isn't that worse when you're just alone with your taxes and you're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm writing off Ubers. I'm writing off like all the food I ate for no reason.
Yeah.
What is going on here? And then during the pandemic, actually my Uber spending increased because of how much Ubers are and how little I want to take the train now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no trains after a certain time anyway.
Yeah, there's no trains after a certain time. And every show, we live in Astoria, Queens. Every kind of like outdoor show is either in Manhattan or bumfuck Bushwick.
Deep Brooklyn.
I know, and it's a 7-minute spot. And so you finish your set and you're like, I could either take the J to the F to the N to the Q, or I can go home on an Uber. But
In
the Uber's
17 minutes.
In 17 minutes. The Uber's $40 just this one time.
Yeah.
And I did that like 15 times.
Yeah, but
it's
look.
so much money.
Yeah. I took one, not yesterday, the day before. It was like $30.
It's so much.
Yeah.
Every time that I buy an Uber, I think this will pay off because you'll get home safe and you'll get home less tired, and ultimately when you're a famous comedian, it won't even matter. You're working toward yourself.
I know, no, it's real sad.
I know, it is really sad.
Because I'm 30 now, so I'm like...
Oh shit, you're feeling it.
Yeah, I'm just like, I was talking to my stepmom on the way here, and I was like, yeah, when I grow up, I'm going to get a house by the sea. And then I was like, shit, I'm grown.
You're grown.
Like, if we keep going like this, it'll be like I'll be in Florida in a retirement home by the sea.
Totally. Dude, I always think about that. I keep saying, like, when I'm older, you're old, bitch. You got 3 eggs left.
And I'm going to eat them for breakfast.
They're scrambled right in the pan. They're over there with the bacon. It's so true. At some point, you have to be like, okay, have I maxed out? Obviously, we haven't reached our peak, but you do have to be like, are the hopes and dreams realistic anymore? Or should I?
No, it's realistic.
Really?
It has to be. So you have to tell yourself.
You have to tell.
Because then if it's not, I've wasted because
I literally know.
I was an artist before comedy. So then I'm like, that was also.
You were?
Yeah, I did that for like 5 years. So
what kind of art?
installation sculpture, and I had like a little small festival, and I did like that's what I did in Ireland, and then I moved over here and did comedy.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
I never knew that.
just,
That's amazing.
making my parents proud.
I know. They're like, we love artists. Your dad's a cop, right?
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
must love that.
He's actually, it is crazy. He's so supportive, which is insane. Because he would love, and he has mentioned a few times, like, he'd be a great guard. That's what he called him, like cop. And I'm like, I'm not going to be a cop. Even when he came over to New York, he was like, would you ever think about joining the cops? And I was like, no.
Oh my God. Imagine if you were a cop in June 2020.
Oh, stop.
You would have been burned alive.
Yeah, no. I can't anyway. I'm not a citizen, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But he is very supportive. Like, he helped me with a bunch of my art projects, and he'd be like, I'd be like, oh, do you like this? And he'd be like, well, I don't think I meant to understand it. I feel like if I understand it, it's not good art then, because he doesn't get art. So I'm like, good, okay.
That's what I tell myself when I bomb. I'm like, you guys, whenever I go to Atlantic City, I'm like, you guys just don't get it. All right, it is a good excuse. That's very wise of your dad.
Yeah, because he's not. I'll
say that.
But it is true with art. I feel like why I love comedy is because everybody can get it for the most part. But with art, it's like this elite kind of little club. Like, if you go to an art museum, you're like, that's fucking mental. What does that mean? That's shit. And then you learn about it, you're like, Jesus, that's brilliant.
Totally. Every time we go to a modern art museum and someone's like, I could have done that. But then you look a little more into it and you're like, okay. Yeah. Crazy genius.
Were you born in 1907 when that type of art never existed? Totally. Yes. Okay. Your nephew can do it now, but they weren't doing it then.
I know. The easiest dad joke is to say that at a museum.
I know. And they do annoy me a little bit when they say that, because like, let's say there's like this painting that Picasso made, and people will be like, oh, I can do that, but it's like actually that style of painting inspired camouflage.
Totally.
So it's like, you can't do it because that didn't exist, and now camouflage is about because of it, and it's like,
I know. You could do that with what you have now.
Even they couldn't do it now as well. They're like, I could do that. I'm like, I bet you can't even draw a square.
Literally. Or a circle, or a star with the 5 points. Yeah. So fuck yeah. It's the same thing with comedy.
It's the same thing.
People are like, I could do that. It's the same, because we make it look easy.
I know.
Because we have our scripted jokes and charisma.
I have guys who'll message me on Hinge all the time. Or recently a guy, and I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but he was like, what are you doing today? And I was like, I'm just writing jokes. And he was like, oh, what about? And I was like, oh, about Irish folklore. And then he was like, oh, I couldn't help you with that. And I was like, oh, I would never expect you to help me with that. Not because you don't know about Irish folklore, but because you're not a comedian. Yeah. And he was like, but doesn't mean I can't be funny. And it's like, that'd be like me going into a dentist and being like, let me get at someone's teeth. It doesn't mean I can't clean teeth.
Totally, dude. Every dude feels it in their core when you tell them you're a comedian. Because they think they're funny.
And when they don't even, yes, I'm a comedian. I couldn't write jokes for you because you have a different style, you have a different voice. So that they just think they can just randomly get up and write jokes.
Totally.
And this is a person who doesn't even write me. Like, fair enough if they wrote like something on the internet. But I was like, well, they're nada. Oh my God.
Nada. I have a suspicion that every guy in the back of their head thinks, I could have done that.
I know.
And especially about stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Whether it's stand-up or like maybe music. But most guys aren't creative enough to even have that dream. They're just like, I could have done stand-up. I always wanted to try.
I know. Oh, they all are. Like, even any of the guys I've dated at some stage will say, bar one, in fairness to him, but he was like an architect, and he's not even funny, and he knows that.
I love that. I love a guy who admits he's not funny.
Yeah, he's just like, he's lovely. But other than him, every other guy has at some stage will say, oh, I thought about doing stand-up.
Oh, you're like, man, what the fuck? Yeah. That's crazy to me. I mean, I could talk for days about the complexity of the male brain, or lack of complexity, and how they think they can but at the end of the day, you're not doing it. So
just
don't act like you should. I know, it's so easy. People are always like, how do I get started? Literally, it's so easy to start. All you have to do is write jokes. And
then once they do it, they'll have more of a respect of how fucking hard it is.
I know.
But still, like, instead of complaining about it or comparing yourself, go do it. Then realize it's really hard. Yeah. Humble yourself, motherfucker.
Yeah. Humble yourself. There's nothing better than watching someone do stand up for the first time and realizing it's hard to hold the mic. Yeah. Your voice sounds weird. There's audience control. People don't laugh and you stumble. And it's not... Because what you're seeing is a final product, especially if you go to a club. You see like a 10-year product where they get their rhythm, they get their flow, the laughs give you momentum, whatever.
And it's like, I would never think, like, a lot of my friends that are from Ireland that live here came over because they're PhD heads. I would never think I could go in and just start chopping up a lung.
No, never.
Like, and then and in fairness to them, they're smart enough to be like, to me, they'd be like, oh, I couldn't do what you're doing.
Totally.
So it's just like about having like a humble or
Yeah, totally. And it's like the thing where if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it and it wouldn't be a job. But it is.
It'd be like a hobby. It'd be karaoke.
Yeah, it literally be karaoke, but it's not. So there you go, guys. Listen to us, motherfuckers. Yeah. All right. One other thing that I irrationally spend money on is skincare products, even though every dermatologist on TikTok says all you need is an SPF moisturizer and some retinol. But I spend like $200 on like Sephora moisturizer just because it's like colorful. It makes me feel good.
Yeah, as we're saying this, I'm like, I think I still have spot cream on my chin.
No, you don't.
Okay, good. But I will say my dad he's like 55. He looks 45. He's the best skin I've ever, but there's something broken in his skin where there's no elasticity, so he never got wrinkles. Like he's not even good at doing like facial expressions.
Oh my God, I want to have sex with him and make babies with him.
I know my sister's friends fancy him, but all of my friends who are younger fans to him, but he is like the best skin. Yeah. And he didn't do anything. He just moisturized. So I think he just did that in his older age because he was just like robbing his wife's moisturizer or something. But I remember him once saying, but like, I think for me, I face wash because, you should. But I only do it once. I don't do it at night. And then I only started using toner in the pandemic. Oh, toner, I never did before. Yeah. And then moisturize, that's it.
Totally. I think less is more in my opinion. And skincare is a huge marketing ploy. Yeah. And they know they can get the gals with the moisture and the wet moisturizers on the face.
I was with girls for the Christmas and like, so I've before only did 2 things. I do it once a day. Now it's 3, but still. Yeah. But the process they were talking about what they do during the day and during the night, and like their skin is great, but I'm like, that's a lot. They were like talking about 6-7 different things. Vitamin C, pumping your face with little holes. Yeah. What are you doing? This is like some sort of 18th century torture thing.
Right. Totally. In my opinion, it's either like all or nothing. You either do the 12 steps or you're just like, I moisturize and that's it. You can't really be in between. Yeah. And also, I think a lot of it is genetics.
I think so too.
You're going to end up ugly either way. Just look at your parents, whatever they are, you are. Luckily, my parents have aged gracefully. What's up? They're Patreon members, so I have to say that. But I do think it's genetics. It's the same thing when you see like a super hot chick who's like, I eat whatever I want. Yeah, it's genetics. Yeah, she's just lucky.
No, it's true. It's true. Because even like my dad's side, they have really great genes because everybody's big eaters, but like high metabolism, and that's just genes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got that Irish bloat gene. That's like, what if we eat bread, I will blow the fuck up.
No, that's true. If I eat bread, I blow up too, but I just don't eat bread.
Totally, yeah.
Like my brothers and sisters, they can eat a lot, but like bread is a big one.
Bread and then like alcohol, I blow the fuck up.
Yeah, no, I can't. Whiskey's fine. That's the only thing I drink. If I drink beer,
game over.
And I will gain weight. When I first came over here, I gained like a ton of weight, but it was only because it was the first time drinking beer. And I was just like, whoa.
Wow, your first time drinking beer was in America?
I drank it a little bit in Ireland, but not that much.
So you didn't drink like Guinness and Smittix and stuff there?
I would drink a tiny bit of Guinness just as a treat, but like one. But like when you come over here, it's like craft beer and you're like banana beer or whatever. Like fucking, it's like 17 different desserts.
Totally. And dudes here, especially in like the Brooklyn bars, if you go to Mike's or if you go on a Hinge date, every Hinge guy is like, oh, let me get the lager from upstate New York.
This is a Pilsner.
Yeah, and you have to get the IPA and be like, I'm the cool girl. I'm not like other girls.
This is making my face hurt.
Totally. Beer and wine for me.
IPAs are funny because this is actually a really boring fact, but it's in my head. So in America, IPAs are bitter. Like, so a lot of the hops they use for IPAs are from here, and Americans like bitter stuff, whereas your Pilsner lagers, their hops are from Europe because we don't like as bitter stuff, so that's why that drink is more. Isn't that just interesting? As like a continent, we like have different taste buds.
Well, I think that young men, young as in like early 20s, think they need a bitter beer. I think it's like a societal norm thing, and they're like, the more bitter the better. They like to be hurt by beer. They want it to hurt.
I know.
So to them, a lager's not enough. Yeah. They want it to like hurt their lungs when it goes down because they think it should. Because they think beer is like a whiskey. They're like, oh yeah.
And it's like a higher percentage of alcohol as well.
The alcoholism and the binge drinking here.
It's way bigger than Ireland. We do binge in Ireland, but like Oh yeah, we do binge, but we binge Friday through Sunday. Here you guys
Yes.
drink every evening.
At least some people we know are drinking every evening.
It's crazy.
Definitely. I do think Ireland and Europe in general, they get the younger drinking age. They get
Yeah.
the more family at home, early drinking. Whereas us, it's like abstinence. No, you will not do the DARE program tells us not to drink. And those when we get to college, we have no idea. We're not supposed to like go hard.
I just thought of, and I really hope my roommate doesn't hear this because she'll kill me, but whatever, I think it's really funny. This is why we lose relationships.
Yeah.
But so the Irish people I went to Christmas with, we've all drank since we were 14.
Yeah.
I mean, you would knock back naggins, and if you don't know what naggin is, it's like a small little bottle of vodka.
Okay.
And you would knock it back straight, have
Yeah.
your can of Coke afterwards. So we've built up
Oh,
a
wow.
tolerance. Our livers
Totally.
have built it up.
Right.
And so my roommate came, she's from Peru, and she tried to keep up drinking with the nights, and I lost her at one stage, and I found her in the room like hanging out the window. She
Oh
was
my
like so
gosh.
ill, and she just was
Wow.
like, because it's a completely different.
So different.
And then the rest of the Irish are up to like 4 a.m. still drinking,
Right.
because they just have a higher tolerance, because I think we start so much younger.
I agree. And I also feel like Europeans in general have a higher tolerance for partying too.
Yeah.
They have more energy.
Yeah, we do. Like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
we were screaming and dancing.
Yes, it's
and
great. I remember, and everyone studied abroad stories are like, yeah, we would stay up till 4 every night, roaming the streets of Spain. I remember like the people who at my college who had come from other countries and were like doing this semester at our college, they were like always up so late. They were the hardest partiers, but never passed out drunk, more just like up all night and being like, what are we doing next, guys?
I also think we paced ourselves a little better.
Yeah.
Like when we were 14 and 15, 16, we didn't, but the older we get, we're well able to pay. Like
Yeah.
even when we party here, like with the Irish, the shots don't happen until you need to stay up.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you guys
Totally.
are like 5 p.m. shots.
We start
I'm
with
like,
shots.
I would die.
We start with shots, and I think it's like a panic thing because we don't know how to pace ourselves.
No.
So for us, it's 0 to 60. It's like if you're not blackout, you're not drunk.
Also, the shots are nearly 3 times the size
They're
of a
so
shot in Ireland, because we're 25 milliliters and you guys are 2 ounces, but a lot of the time, so an ounce is more than 25 milliliters, and a lot of time a bartender wants to get like money off you, so they give way more than a 2 ounce. Even like a whiskey and Coke, one whiskey and Coke equals
Right.
3 whiskeys and Cokes back home.
So ridiculous.
And when there's no tips, so you're fucking only getting your
Totally.
specific. They have like a little thing you put your cup under, so it gives
Right.
exactly the measure. There's no like free pouring.
Wow.
So
It's way different here.
yeah, when I first came over here, I was blacking out so much, but it's because I'd have like 2 whiskeys
Right.
to be dead.
Yeah, you have to learn about it. Totally. And then now people are either, as they post-college, they're either like still drinking heavily or they're like not at all because they can't do the in-between.
I know I've met more like what they would say are recovered alcoholics here,
Yeah.
but it's really just friends who are just like, I'm tired of drinking, and
Totally.
they have to either be drinking or not.
Yes.
They
There's
can't-
no gray area.
there's no in between. There's no like, I'm just gonna like have one drink
Nope.
on a night out.
No, because their brains are trained to be like, this feels good, keep going.
Never stop.
They're not trained to be like, oh, this is nice. I'm
Yeah.
good for the night though.
Also, like with depression the next day, because obviously hangovers give depressions. I think Americans are, because you guys are told to be like happy all the time,
Yes.
everything's great. I think, like, I know like there's obviously a big issue with mental health in Ireland, but I also think we're not told to be happy all the time. So we're a bit more like, oh, okay, I'm sad today, it's fine, I'll be better tomorrow.
Totally.
But I think you guys have like my friends, American friends, when they talk about hangovers, they sound like suicidal.
It's existential crisis.
Yeah.
And I've lately been able to accept like, okay, gonna be a rough day, watching TV, tomorrow I'll feel better.
Yeah.
I've kind of stepped out of it. But like mid-20s, I would literally be on the edge of a bridge. Like I'm jumping over the Verrazano Bridge because I have whiskey pouring through my veins.
Yeah,
and
Jesus.
I do think there's like an American productivity-based thing.
Yeah.
So if you're hungover, you lose a day. So then you hate yourself. So there's a lot of that too here. And the happiness thing. Ugh, get over it.
Because in Ireland, Sunday, and it comes back to religion, and we're like shitty religious people.
Yeah.
Like we come across religious, and it's a Catholic country, and we have all the bad stuff of it, like the guilt and the like anti-woman stuff, and it's getting better, but like there's still so much in the country.
Yeah.
But we're like shite Catholics. Like
Yeah.
you'd ask us like, when was Jesus born? I'm like,
Right.
I know it was like
Easter?
2100 years ago. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like Christmas.
Yeah.
The what was I going to say? Sunday. Sunday's a day of rest.
Yeah.
So nothing, like there's not really anything going on. So
Yeah.
if you're out on a Saturday and you don't feel bad on a Sunday. 'Cause you're like,
Totally.
"Oh, I'm not really meant to do anything."
It used to be like that here, but they turned our country into full-time go.
It's crazy. 40-hour work week is
Yeah.
like 170 hours here.
Insane.
And you don't get as many holidays.
No.
It's ridiculous. This
It's-
country is insane.
That's why you got to be a comedian and live off unemployment.
That's why
no
you-
work days.
That's why you need your retinol.
That's why you need your retinol so you
Because
can
you're
look
tired.
young when you retire. When you retire, that's when you want to do the youthful stuff, but you're going to be old as fuck. So, okay, well, now I feel like we're synced up. But let's move on to our next segment. And this one is called Go With the Flow. Okay, so in this segment, we are going to discuss some celebrity mishaps of the week along with their public response. And we're going to say if the celeb should have gone with the flow or if their response was good. All right. So let me open my laptop here. We have a few. There's new people every week. It's so awesome. So as you may have heard, Hilaria Baldwin
Yes.
in the news this week. Alec Baldwin's wife, if you don't know, who I didn't know was 36. I used to be like, she looks really good for 45. She's 36.
Jeez. But she has like 5 kids, right?
She has 5 kids. But still, I literally, no offense
So
to Hilaria.
young.
Well, offense taken. Okay, so Hilaria Baldwin in the news this week because her high school classmates came out and said that bitch is a white girl, but she's been pretending to be Spanish her entire life. And she'll go on public interviews and be like, oh, I love my husband, Alec. But then in real life, she's like, hey guys, so I just want to let you know, detox tea is on sale for my perm, like crazy. My thing is like, okay, so in 2nd grade, my sister started taking French and I love my sister growing up. And I was like, oh, I want to be French. So I went to school in 2nd grade and I said bonjour and au revoir to everyone. And I was like, this is my personality. And everyone was like, oh my God, she's French. And the next day I was like, don't do that anymore. You're fucking weird.
So-
But that was my one thing. But she did that as an adult.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So here's her apology.
I'm not really Irish.
Wow, that would be crazy.
Oh my God.
I would be like, you did a really good, you had a whole backstory. Your dad's a cop. What is going on here? You knew your county. Okay, so here's Hilaria Baldwin's well, she had like a huge
Oh my
statement.
God, so she admitted it?
She didn't admit it.
She should die on that cross. I wouldn't admit it. I'd be like, I don't even know those people. I'm like, I don't even know those people. My Spanish accent.
Literally. And this is what she said. There was a lot of back and forth my entire life. And I'm really lucky that I grew up speaking 2 languages. When I tried to work, I try to enunciate a little bit more. But when I get nervous or upset, then I start to mix the 2. She said people call her Hilaria. Some people call her Hillary. She consolidated the 2 names to just Hilaria. She said it's the same name, just a few letters different. So I think we shouldn't be so upset about it. And whatever you guys want to call me, I will respond to both. So she did a lot of like, I was between Spain and Boston my whole life, so I mix up the languages. But her high school classmates were like, she was a white girl in high school. Like she never had the accent.
Yeah.
So what do we think of Hilaria's like statement? Should she just go with the flow? Or does she, in my opinion, it's too late. You did the damage. Don't even say anything. Just
I
kind of
wouldn't say anything.
disappear until
I'd
it blows
disappear.
over. Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's not even an apology. That's like, that doesn't address whether she sees herself as, that's so weird. But if she, I don't know the backstory, but if she did as a child spend a lot of time in Spain and was going back and forth, there is a chance that she could have, and she was speaking both languages.
Yeah.
There is a chance that it's like, you know, my cousins who grew up in America until they were 10, 11 and 12, they all moved back to Ireland and now they've Irish accents.
Yeah.
And they are Irish. Their parents are Irish,
Interesting.
but they were born in America.
Yeah.
So, and you know, anybody who they say like the accent is usually around 12. So if she was coming back and forth, there is a chance. But then look, maybe in her high school, she just wanted to be like white girl. So she'd use her white girl voice.
That's true. We don't know about the high school white girl forming. That's true.
Yeah, and also these school kids. How do you remember what someone? I don't remember what.
That's true.
I also think I don't know why they even bother coming out with it. This is so weird. Like, who cares?
She was in the news this week because Amy Schumer posted her on her Instagram and was like, got my post baby body back, and it was a picture of Hilaria.
Oh, okay.
And then Hilaria went off and was like, why do you think different bodies like mine is just because I'm thin doesn't mean you can insult my body?
Oh my god!
So
that was dumb. Yeah. That's dumb. Okay, she's an idiot.
My thing is, if I had kind of this alter ego and I knew I was, she's at least heightening it. You know, if I knew I I wouldn't bring myself to public.
I know.
It's like the same thing as like you get famous and then this stuff comes out of them.
But I mean, are her family Spanish? It'd be different if her parents or grandparents.
Her parents are like white academics living in Spain.
Like in one way, it is better she said Spain than like any Latin American country.
Yeah.
I feel like Spain's just like European. It's not as like I guess like are Spanish people considered white or are they not? I don't know.
I think there's a slight difference between Spanish and like Latino.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't think they're white. But there was a lot of backlash about like she's passing as like an immigrant when immigrants get a lot of
this
flack.
is true, and like as well, it is close to Latin culture, so she could slide in there, and then it's also appropriating a culture. Like it's really bad.
Another day, another white woman appropriating culture.
She shouldn't have said anything. She should have either pretended to be like English.
Yes.
If she wants to have an accent.
Totally. Yeah, that's
then you'd be
whatever.
Like, you'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. But
that's more just like, oh, you're trying to be quirky. This is like wild. I think my theory is in high school or after high school, she decided she wanted to be someone different.
Yeah.
And she went with that, and then it took it a step too far.
She should have said she was born in America, so she wasn't like taking the immigrant, and just said like she should have always been open and been like, I spend a lot of time in Spain, so that's why I think
she did, because I think she was like, I was born in Boston, but then I was back and forth between Spain and Boston.
She should have said it before she was caught out, though. That should have always been her.
Totally.
You know, kind of like this person who's grew up in two worlds. Yes. That could have been her story.
Totally. She went too far.
She was an idiot.
And you know what? Anytime someone took something too far, it started small. She probably started with the name change.
She probably believed it.
And started believing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just explodes.
Well, look, anybody who attacks someone else on the internet, now that I know she attacked Amy Schumer, it's like, you got what's coming for you.
I agree.
Everybody should just keep their mouth.
I agree.
Unless it's positive, say nothing.
I agree. You have to be, even when I post like a TikTok making fun of someone, I'm always afraid someone's going to pull up something else and be like, is this you?
Which is fine though, because you're a comedian.
Yeah.
You're not actually attacking their character. It's a joke.
That's true.
But like, you know, comedians who like attack other comedians and being like, this person's sexist or whatever, and then you look through their tweets and you're like, you're racist.
Literally. It's so crazy.
You don't want to make sure you're squeaky clean before you say anything.
My opinion, delete the tweets. I got an app on my thing that deletes all tweets over 6 months old because I'm not dealing with that.
I have to do that, but none of my tweets would ever be sexist or racist, but it's more like embarrassing. The stuff that I thought was funny, like I probably have like a joke about like, I don't know, like fucking, I can't even think, like popcorn, something dumb. I'm like, I don't want someone to be like, look how embarrassing.
Me too. I know. Really, that was really it. I was like, you're posting these with no likes? You kill yourself.
I know.
Yeah. All right, so we got Hilaria. I think you should have you can't really talk your way out of this, in my opinion, with so much against you and your husband's Alec Baldwin.
Poor Alec Baldwin.
I would just say disappear and let her. You have so much money, just disappear. But she is also managed and she's kind of an influencer on Instagram. It's hard.
It's hard.
Okay, so this one is interesting. It's COVID related. So Anwar, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anwar Hadid, this brother of Bella and Gigi.
I don't even know who Bella and Gigi are.
Bella and Gigi Hadid, they're famous supermodels.
Okay.
Yeah, they're friends with like the Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner. So Anwar, I didn't know who he was either, but I found this. So he's a 21-year-old model.
Okay.
And he came under fire when a fan asked if he was an anti-vaxxer. And he said, either I just don't get it or I get it, coronavirus, and God willing heal from it and get antibodies rather than do that process unnaturally. So he's saying, I'd rather not get the vaccine because it's unnatural. Which, in my opinion, if this is a guy with 300 followers, whatever. But this is it. Another influencer.
Also, COVID's not natural. I'm sorry. It was probably made in like some little weird pharmacy thing and then
That's
spread.
what they're saying.
So
that's what they're saying. It's
not like you're getting some natural flu or whatever.
No. That's a strain that was made in a petri dish.
Biochemical warfare. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know what biochemical means, but I agree.
I've been watching a Designated Survivor and I'm like, oh yeah, they knew this was coming.
Totally. And he also added that our bodies are made by the creator to do way more than we think. So it kind of is both anti-COVID vaccine and anti-vaccine in general.
Oh, here you dumb fuck. I wonder, like, he probably has vaccines he doesn't even know he got as a kid.
Literally, I'm like, you got them. If you are existing in society today, you probably have the measles, chickenpox, blah, blah, blah. You have to get into college. You have to travel, which you are a supermodel. You have to have those shots.
I also think it's a dumb excuse that, okay, we were created, our body fixes itself or whatever. But it's like, yes, but us people have created vaccines.
Right.
So in that line of thought, we're meant to use the things. Why would we be able to make vaccines to make us better? So it's still humans making it. The creator made us.
Yeah.
We made the vaccine and let's use it.
Totally. Yeah.
That's my theory.
No, I agree. I agree. And my theory is it's 2020. It's not 1918.
Yeah, we wouldn't be surprised. Here's the other thing. If you want to go by that, Anwar, is that his name? I'm mad at him. We aren't a survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
We're, and we aren't back in the day where you just let the old or the unhealthy die off.
No.
And what's made us survive is that we create medicine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we are as a society.
Agree.
And if that was the case, then he shouldn't be even taking fucking vitamin C or whatever.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And any side effect of the vaccine can be fixed with modern medicine because they created the vaccine. They act like you're going to get it and walk away and your brain's going to blow up or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so this is his apology. I'm not anti-vax. I think everyone has to be careful with each vaccine individually, looking at positive and possible negative effects. I have taken vaccines before, but as someone who has had a compromised immune system, I want to continue to learn about the many ways I can protect myself and others. So I guess actually that's pretty I don't think he wrote this, by the way. His PR team definitely did, but I think it's a well-rounded response. However, I wish he just didn't say it in the first place, and I really wish he just said, when you say I think everyone has to be careful with each vaccine individually, like you're just allowing people who follow you to be like, yeah, he's right. Let me wait to see about this COVID thing. Whereas we should all just be like, yes, we'll take it.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, it's a fine apology, but it's also like, I hate that influencers and stuff.
Me too.
Have an influence, but that's what you have to realize. It's like, what's that like Batman quote? With great responsibility or whatever.
I don't know if that's Batman or JFK, but one of the two.
with something comes great responsibility.
So, yeah, I'm not a dude, but weigh in on the Batman. We'll ask Andrew after he comes out. I agree, the responsibility. And I also think, similar to how we have realized with media outlets, they can tell us one thing or another, we're going to have to do that with influencers too, because they are. And why is it every influencer ends up being like insane opinions?
I know.
I have yet to.
Why do they even want to have opinions?
I know.
If I ever make it as a comic, I'll just be like, I don't know. Here's a joke.
I agree.
Then they should be like, I don't know. Here's my body. People.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Stick to the butt stuff. Stick to the jokes. Anwar, stick to the modeling. Stick to your nepotism modeling, the job you got through your family.
The cheek of him as well to think with his modeling degree that he can comment on something that people with a PhD need. Like no one should be trusting opinions of people who don't have the actual education to make that.
I agree.
If he comes out and he was like, I also have a PhD in immunology, I don't know.
Right.
I don't even know what the word is.
Then I'd be like, okay, but if you don't have that, then you need to be quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do one more. Lizzo's pretty old, but this one is Halsey. She's a pop singer. I don't know any of her songs.
I know her because her boyfriend cheated on her and she found out about it, but they still had to sing together that day. And the song was about how much she loved her, and you could see her like eyes welling up in it, and you're like, oh, it's heartbreaking.
What was her boyfriend? G something?
I don't know, but I just saw this on TikTok.
So there's this Instagram challenge going on, like show me a pic of blah blah blah, like an Instagram story thing that has the questions, and it's like show me a pic of blah, and your fans can write you eating pizza, and you post the pic.
Oh, this is an
Instagram story.
Oh.
Yeah. So she did this, and someone wrote, show me a picture of you at your lowest. And Halsey posted a photo of her in front of a mirror, and it was like a naked photo, and she was like kind of like this, and she wrote my eating disorder. And it was like a slender body. It wasn't like a body where you'd be like, what the fuck? She's so... It was just like, okay, so she looked really thin there.
Yeah.
And then people got mad because they were like, no trigger warning for the eating disorder photo. How dare you?
Oh, but people just get mad.
People get mad. And
honestly,
I know every TikTok I see, they're like, no trigger warning for this monkey.
How sensitive are you guys?
I know.
Like, chill out.
So she apologized and said, I'm very sorry for posting a photo of myself depicting my struggle with ED without a sufficient trigger warning.
I think that's really unfair on her, because if she had an eating disorder and she feels like for her to be at that size, even if it's a size fucking 0 or a size 10, but she had to have an eating disorder to be at that size, she still has a fucking eating disorder. And so she's saying that was my lowest.
Totally.
Because like I'm thin, but if I were like any way thinner, I'd have I'd have to have an eating disorder.
Oh, thin. That's what you were saying. I thought you said I'm a 10, and I was like, I don't think you're a size 10, but
I'm not. No, I'm
thin. Yeah. I just did a lot of math in my head.
I have IBS, so I shit everything out. So I have an arse disorder.
Yeah.
I have AD.
Yeah.
But like, I just think, I have an example. I posted a video about kind of how I would need guys when I lived in Ireland, just because sex is so like weird. Like with one night stands, I would tell them that they can come home for tea, but it was like kind of my guilt not wanting to say I wanted a one night stand, and I would expect them to kind of convince me into it.
Right.
And then a few people were like, this is like bad, because what about people who've been assaulted, not knowing if I've been assaulted, and not knowing and not knowing the backstory. And the video was meant to promote that this is actually a bad way to, and like how and it was a joke, like, and but it's like, oh my God, people are just gonna you're just projecting your own shit onto something that doesn't mean that.
Totally. Let Halsey be.
Yeah.
She probably has an Instagram manager who did that for her.
Yeah.
She does manage her own Instagram.
I don't know.
Give it a break. And also,
that poor manager though.
I know.
If that's true.
Dude, you know what's the worst is when you post something and then you come back 2 hours later and there's all these comments that are like, this is bad take. And you're like, God damn it.
Oh, stop. And you're like, I know, because I posted something about I don't know, I can't remember the joke, but it was something about how the difference between 29 and 30 is now like I take pills daily, and all the Americans were like, that's so insensitive, there's a big pill popping, and I'm like, I'm talking about Advil, like,
totally
use the context culture clues. I'm from Ireland, that's what we say. I don't know about your opium. I was not talking about opiums. Like,
of course you weren't, because that would be insane. It makes you afraid to post anything.
I have to Google the definition of each word, because we use different words than you. It's like a different English.
Totally.
No, I'm like,
honestly, it's wild. I mean, I posted a TikTok about debt the other day, and a lot of people were like, you're 18, own it, you're a fucking adult. I shouldn't feel bad for you for your debt.
I know, but that's just because that did so well. That was one that got like 38,000 likes.
It got a lot of likes.
Yeah, that's why. Once they do well,
I know,
you have the haters.
People come in,
Also for Halsey, I'm sure there's a million women looking at that who do have eating disorder and being like, wow,
women, men. Women have one.
Yeah, all women.
We all do. We've all had something or another, whether it was for one day or 10 years.
No, 100%. And then they're probably like, she's doing well, she's doing great, fair play. So I actually think she probably did more. Those people don't speak out for it. The people who complain are the ones who speak out. So.
Total. Yep. And then everyone else is just scroll. I don't even retain Instagram stories. I scroll. So I guess the apology is good, because it's kind of a sensitive, and that's kind of an easy apology, because it's not like a Hilaria thing. It's like it's an easy fix.
Oh yeah, she doesn't even really need to apologize that much.
Move on.
Yeah.
Perfect. Where you shouldn't apologize, I think, is where you mess up so bad that it's not even worth touching. And we didn't get to this one, the Lizzo thing where she did a 10-day smoothie detox, and people were like, "How dare you? You're the face of body positivity." And she was like, "I don't care." Yeah.
Well, also she said right, and also as well, a juice cleanse. We have like little bugs in our stomach.
Yeah.
And if we don't like nurture them, you can like you've got tiredness. So actually, just for a health thing, it's nothing to do with weight. Doing a juice cleanse could cleanse that out, and you refix the bugs. She probably was just doing it because she was tired, and even if she was doing it to lose weight, who gives a fuck? Yeah,
she's not for you. You listen to her music. You don't control her life.
Yeah, fuck off.
It's ridiculous. All right, so that is go with the flow. And I'm feeling like the more people get called out for stuff, the more I'm like, just move on. Yeah, because it blows over within a day, so quickly. But while it's happening, you think you're the center of the world, and everyone's talking about. No one gives a fuck. All right, so let's move into our last part of the day, our topic discussion. We got stimulus, we got crime in New York City, we got COVID affecting women the most. Let's talk about the stimulus, because it's on the news right freaking out. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, we either have gotten it or the 2000 has been rejected, but you guys can still see our hot takes on it. Great. My biggest thing is stop talking about it. Either decline it or accept it, because the more you talk about it, the more people are like, do you not care about us? It makes people think more about. Yeah, it's literally like watching two people argue over your salary in front of your face. Yeah, the American people are going to hate me for saying this, but I just think America as a country doesn't care about your
people who aren't wealthy.
Oh, we don't care if you say that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say the American people are going to hate this, but I don't think you deserve.
No. I think you definitely deserve it, but I'd be
Yeah.
very shocked. Like, I mean, I just don't think about it. Firstly, as an
Right.
immigrant, I'm shocked if I get any money, but I do pay a lot of fucking taxes, so they
I
should.
know, so ridiculous.
But yeah, no, I just think I see America as not looking after people who aren't wealthy, so I'd be very
Dude.
surprised they give you anything.
And it's fucking ridiculous that Mitch McConnell will not pass the 2000 when most of his constituents, like citizens who are in his party, are poor
Yeah, no,
people
it's crazy.
who need the 2000. They
It's
need
like
it
those
more than
people-
like Democrats.
It's like a lot of people have been brainwashed here.
Yes,
Also, 2000 is nothing compared to what you pay tax. Like,
I know.
For America, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you pay
Yeah.
more taxes than any other country. Like, what's it for if it wasn't for? I know it's for roads and shit like that, but like,
but
I mean,
the roads are bad. The
roads
subway's
are bad.
bad.
You have to pay 60 grand a year to go to
Yeah.
college.
Right.
And then you don't have health insurance. Whereas
Right.
in Ireland or European countries, and I know like the anti-immigrant people are going to be like, then go back to your country. And it's like, well, I want to live my dream.
Well, I have to do comedy.
Yeah. And it's just, comedy's better here. There's like a glass ceiling in Ireland and that's like
Yeah.
a bar show.
No, totally. I mean, any city that's not New York City. No
Yeah.
offense to you guys out there, but you're going to
Yeah,
move here
yeah.
if you want to do comedy.
Yeah, like obviously there's the likes of like, there's some famous people from Ireland, but then they
Yeah.
all end up over here. So,
Yep.
but so we have health insurance, universal health insurance in all the countries. What was it? Oh, college. My degree cost 10 grand for 4 years.
Ridiculous.
Like, that's insane.
50K over here. Well, I'm down to 35K, not to brag.
Yeah, but I come over here and my friends like, you're probably not using
Yeah.
your degree, and I'm an immigrant. My
Yeah.
credit score is probably better.
Right.
I have no debt, unless something happens to me, like I get sick, touch wood.
No debt. Debt?
Debt.
Oh.
It's called like DEBT. I don't know how
He
to
said
pronounce
no
it.
debt.
No debt. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, you don't, and like the more you learn about your country, like you don't care about poor, and it's poor
Yeah.
people. And
Literally
it's,
poor people.
it's, I think in the future when they look back, they're gonna be like, oh, it's classism,
Yeah.
because it's just crazy. It's definitely like
It's insane, especially the pandemic. Like, unemployment has always been around. And, if you get fired, that sucks. It might be your fault. But this is no one's fault. The
Yeah.
pandemic, well, I mean, it's the government's fault for extending it so long. But also, even if we did the full lockdown in March, April, the whole country, it would still be popping back up.
yeah.
This year has been inevitable
Yeah,
to
like,
fuck people so badly.
I guess if they shut down the country properly and put in stricter
Right.
rules,
Yeah.
it probably would have been better. Like, look at Australia, New Zealand, and
totally.
a couple of Asian countries, but you'd have to have enforced it, and they're
Yeah.
willing to pay people to stay at home, and
No
they
one
didn't want
wants
to do
to
that.
be forced to do that.
But the government doesn't want to do it
The
either.
government doesn't want to do that either. Yeah.
No. And then if you like, a lot of people were like, oh my god, they're getting so much in unemployment, and you're like, what are you
Right.
talking about? Firstly, you wouldn't stop rent, and rent was so expensive, and secondly,
Yeah.
once the 600 went, most people were on 200, so
I
I
know.
was getting like 800.
Totally.
That's not,
Yeah.
like, it's fine, like, it's grand,
Dude.
but then I was on 200.
Right.
And then I was on nothing because I
Totally.
Yeah.
The fact that in New York State you can't make more than 500 for a week and then you don't get your unemployment anymore is insane. That is not a livable wage. That's like how much you make working at a pizzeria in high school.
yeah, it's crazy.
That is fucking ridiculous.
And most people, I went back to work as soon as I got my job back, so
Yeah.
it's not like this thing of
People
like
wanna work.
Yeah, I don't want to stay
Yeah.
at my home. I went straight back to work.
No one likes filing for unemployment. It's humiliating.
I actually got less because I went back to work as well,
Yeah.
because the tips were less because nobody was coming up. But like,
totally.
in my head, I'm an immigrant, so I'm like, I'm not gonna like hide from the phone in case they were
Definitely.
like,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna boot her out for not taking her job back.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of us were going back making less money. And it's not because unemployment was so high. It wasn't so high. It's because a lot of us are in hospitality
Yeah.
and nobody was coming to tip.
Yep.
Because they were scared to go outside, so we
Yeah.
were just standing there for a few hours hoping somebody would come
Totally.
get takeout.
Yeah. So sad.
And you get taxed so high,
Yeah.
so you live off a lot of your
Right.
tips. But
Right.
yeah, look,
It's ridiculous. I think there should have been like some sort of $1,000 a week since the shit started. Some sort of like weekly. We can't be living by like, they're arguing about it now, so maybe in a couple months we'll get it. Like,
yeah.
no one can live like that. There's families of 5.
Also, why are they arguing about it? Who cares? Just give the money.
It just gives the money.
Just fucking shut up.
Debt, national debt is like a joke. No one gives a fuck, and we'll get over it.
And even the people who don't need the money, if they just give it to everybody, they're going to spend it back into the economy.
Yeah.
They're going to buy themselves a nice handbag
Totally.
or whatever. Or
Yeah.
like that's what they want. So,
Yeah, it's very true.
yeah,
When I got the $1,200 stimulus, I was shopping.
nice.
I was buying stuff.
I didn't shop. I did go back to Ireland though for 3
Yeah.
weeks, so I think I like.
Well, that stimulates the airlines.
I think I spent it on a flight home. Like, bye.
That's the airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, and I also think the 600 seems like so little now once they announced the 2,000.
It does.
It's like, don't even give it to me.
Yeah, I please do give it to me.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy with any money. I'll take anything.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm chasing up Adidas for $25.
I know, but it
Because
is
they owe me
also like, when you float the 2,000.
Yeah, the 2000 would be great. I'd be like, oh my God, it'd take the pressure off so much.
Yeah.
But they just don't care. They don't care. Like people, my roommate works in housing organization. She's a community organizer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known about this only for living with her, and people are literally like starving.
Yeah.
And they can't afford their rent, and their
Yeah.
landlords, instead of fighting Cuomo, are hassling these poor, and a lot of them are fucking immigrants.
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, you might be say whatever you want about immigrants, but they keep up New York, and
Yeah.
a lot of their children are American citizens.
Yeah.
And so they're fucking, it's like, it's very, and then they were complaining about the homeless issue, and it's like, yeah, well, that's, home them.
Yeah.
You know, like, you
Yeah.
can't.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree.
And everybody was like, oh, like, Cuomo's great. I don't know anything about it, but from what I hear from her, it's like, well, the city is like falling apart.
Yeah, Cuomo is good at press conferences. He's good at appealing to like middle-aged white women who are like, oh, he's doing a good job.
I know.
It's like a facade.
I know. I heard a couple of people I know who are like in good jobs and didn't lose their jobs. They were like, Cuomo's great. And I'm like, I'm dying.
I know, he's great for the people who are like, oh, zaddy. People who like put him on that pedestal.
And then he put up a picture of his huge house. I'm like, you can give out a couple of those rooms to homeless people.
I give him or send us, or Cuomo, if he was the hero he was, would find a way to get all New Yorkers some money.
Yeah.
But he fucking
sell your gaff, your house. You don't need it.
I agree.
Get a smaller house.
Sell your house. Fucking humble yourself, and also
sell that piano.
But I also think he's trying to do the long game of running for president. So he probably wants to not look like a socialist.
Yeah,
because that's
love
the
a good
thing.
Socialist.
Every politician in the country is also having a long game of if I do this now, it's going to mess up my next election.
Oh, I hate politics.
I know. So they're always. Is it Ireland? Is it like that with the terms and stuff?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's how it's fucked here. Because if you have an election in November, then you can't like dish stuff out if your constituents are Republican.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't have like Republican Liberal. I don't really know what we do actually.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We're just like smaller, and it's
you're like North and South.
Yeah, we have like a more socialist, but it's also / anarchist party, so they're a bit dodge.
Yeah.
And then we have like a middle one, and then we have like a Green Party, and then the middle one is probably the best because it kind of includes everybody, and because it's like a multi-party, you have to have a couple of them in there. It's not just one or two.
Yeah.
So I think it works better, but it's hard to compare. There's only 4 million people in the country.
It's so hard. There's 300 million here. There's so many different kinds of people. Ultimately, I think we can be an awesome country, but it's going to take probably like 200 years, I think. Yeah. We're in like our weird teenage phase. We're like, who are we? Yeah. Get out of my room, Mom. Yeah. But soon, I think we're going to be pretty good.
Pocket money.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
I need money. Totally. Okay, so speaking on that, we have crime is up in New York City. Not even surprised because... Manhattan is shelled out. People don't have jobs. Yeah. They want to rip wild into the evening.
Yes. When
I go into a Manhattan for a show, it's pretty sketchy.
So when I went back to work, it was in like high pandemic. And one of the reasons why I didn't go back to that job actually was because I was quite afraid coming home at night because they only had night shifts available. I used to do day shifts, and there were only 2 night shifts available now, but it was coming back late at night, and it was terrifying coming through Manhattan, like, and I got called like, like there was a lot of like fucking white woman, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Or like just like creepy guys being like wanting to like fuck you, and you're like I've never noticed it as much before.
Totally. Like right in your face.
Yeah. Or I was like hiding my handbag in my jumper for the first time, like I'd never.
Totally. Yeah, it's crazy. Even like one of the clubs we work at is on 23rd Street.
Yes.
Which is, in normal times, you'd be like, yay, Italy. Oh, what a fun area. And now you're like, Uber right to the door.
It's like when you see those movies of New York in the 70s or something.
Yes.
It feels like that.
That's what it's like. But that is why I'm kind of excited, because it means we're about to have a comedy boom. Yeah. That's my theory. We're going to be like Seinfeld. We're going to be like the old stories where they're like, I got up on stage and the booker said, come back tomorrow night. Because every comedian who started in the 80s in New York City was like, yeah, just took one set. Yeah. And I was on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, that's so true. And then the Bush will be back too.
The Bush?
The hairy vagina.
Oh yeah, mine came back in 2008.
Yeah,
but,
I've always had one, but I've always pretended it's like a European thing, even
Me
it's not.
too.
I'm like, yeah, I'm European.
I know. Every time I hook,
Even though in Ireland I would never have called myself European.
I know. Well, that is a good excuse, and then guys can be like, "Cool,
Yeah,
that's
and
actually kind of hot."
Yeah, they don't really care, but they
Yeah.
do be like, oh, I haven't seen this. And it's not even wild, it's trimmed, but they'll be like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. And I'm like, yeah, it's like a European thing. And they're like,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Should I put on the Beatles?
Oh, you're sexy. You're from far away. Yeah, you should put
That's
on the
great.
Beatles.
Yeah. I usually do the. I usually do the. Oh, I haven't shaved in a while before he like takes
Yeah.
out the justice, and he's like, I don't care,
Yeah,
because
they
then
don't, they don't care.
my strategy is being like, wait, I have to tell you something, and then he gets freaked out that you have like herpes, and then you're like, I have pubes, and he's like, oh, I don't care, and then he has sex with you harder because he's like, yeah, she doesn't have.
Also, this is what I say as well. So pubes trap your pheromones. So
Yes.
chemically, it's sexier.
Actually,
apparently.
yes, and it
So-
keeps it healthier.
Yeah, it keeps it's a protection against
Yeah.
herpes and genital warts and bacteria, so it stops like UTIs. It doesn't stop them, but
Nothing will stop them.
yeah,
I've
it's a
tried-
protection.
I've tried every trick in the book.
It's like a dodgy penis giving us bacteria.
I know. Or even a clean one. This fucking guy. It's
no,
when
I mean they're all dodgy.
they're all dodgy. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That's why I gotta be gay. I wish. Yeah. So crime is up. But I think that's natural. That's all the
Yeah.
white people left. All the white people who call the cops left.
yeah, and like the thing is as well, it comes back to that 600. People need money. They're
Yeah.
hungry. And even people who don't, they're just like, well, here's my chance. So
People are on edge.
yeah, and like the police. I don't know. People aren't gonna call the police.
No, and none of us who are left are calling the police.
Yeah,
I'll say that
no.
much. And I also think after June, the police are probably like, I'm not going to do shit because you guys said we're going to be defunded.
I know,
They
I know.
probably have like a slow mentality.
I got robbed before the pandemic, like right before it was in February. And when I went up to the police, I was just like, kind of like just really distraught because
Yeah.
I hadn't been robbed before. And they were like grand, they were helpful, they were a bit of crack, like they were like having a laugh with me and stuff. But then at the end, one of them came up to me and was like, I'm not the inspector on your case, but if you ever like need anything.
No.
And then he gave me his card and he was like, if you ever just like want a beer or something, give me a call.
Cops are predatory.
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't mind at the time because I was like, I've been crying, it's nice to
Yeah,
feel pretty, but I was
yeah.
like, someone else could have found that extremely inappropriate.
And it's abusive. You're in their home. They're wearing their uniform. So you have to be like, oh, sure, yes. If you say no, is he going to fucking pin you down with a taser?
And cops do scare me, and it's so bad because my dad's a cop and he's a lovely man, but
Yeah,
there
he's
is
an Irish cop.
I know they
drink
have sticks.
tea and
They just have sticks.
Yeah, they break up football games.
They do nothing. They literally, like, my friend did this great, his name's Fabu D, but he did a great video of American cops compared to Irish cops, and the Irish cops are just like having a laugh at you,
Yeah.
being like, well, don't do it again, and
Yeah.
here's a, oh, you got me a donut, thanks, you don't need,
Yeah.
and then the American cop is like really scary and trying to
Yes.
murder you, but yeah, I think a couple of my woman friends when I came over had incidents where like they had instances where a cop kind of was inappropriate with them, and
Yeah.
like they are immigrants, so they didn't feel like they could do anything about it.
Yeah.
And like, I know that's not the majority, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but that's a lot of the female immigrants that I've met
Yeah.
have had similar experiences. So
Ugh.
it's like a cop tried to ask me out recently, and I was like, no way.
Yeah,
I was like,
dude,
"Just be
have you
afraid."
read the news? We hate you.
I'm like, I'm not, and I don't hate you. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
foreign. I have no opinion, but
Yeah.
from what I hear, I'm afraid.
If you take it to cop, people would be like, what the fuck, Katie?
I'm just afraid if I broke up with him, he'll be like, get me deported.
Oh my God, I know he'll look you up and shit.
I know.
You never know with these fucking
I'm
guys.
scared. I don't want to date anybody that has any sort of government control.
Yeah, no,
I'm
good.
afraid. I
No,
think
no.
America terrifies me. I'm an
Totally.
immigrant. I just want to stay here. I don't want to be
Totally.
ruffling any feathers.
People are ruthless.
I've already had to block so many boyfriends. I'm
Yeah.
like a cop will find out where I live.
Definitely, dude. Well, speaking of that, women hit hardest by COVID economically
Yeah.
because they're
Makes sense.
mostly make up most of the essential workforce.
Yeah.
And if you work from home, you also have to watch your kid. So a lot of people are quitting their jobs so they can be home and watch their kid.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I luckily am not affected because I'm just a lowly comedian.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm very glad I don't have kids
Yeah.
right now,
Fuck that.
especially like a 7 to 10 year old.
I don't want kids anyway. Never mind in a pandemic. I don't think so. Unless I might meet someone and they're like, I really want this, and I make them sign a contract that says they do 60% of the work.
70, 80.
But it always falls on the woman. Now, I think the world is getting better where men are becoming more comfortable with being like what is associated as feminine or nurturing or maternal, but like I don't want to have to, like, if there's a pandemic, quit my job because I have to take care of the kid. I'd leave that house. I'd be like, I'm leaving. Kid's yours.
Dude,
bye.
Honestly, I'm 28 now, and I always used to be like, yeah, I'll have a kid, but now the corona is eating into my career making years, which then eats into my baby making years, and I'm like, I don't want to compromise our career. Because then you think, okay, in theory, you're like, oh, when you think about a baby, you just think about like the baby holding it and being cute, but you forget it's a full time. You have to keep them hydrated. It's not your life anymore.
But a lot of people get PTSD, and also it's just giving birth. I don't like the idea of growing something. I don't even like being bloated.
It was creepy.
I know. And then they expect you to breastfeed. No, thank you. I like my tits.
Ew.
And then I have to give up my, like, you can't have sex for at least 2 years because your vagina's falling apart.
Yeah.
And like, unless they're okay with banging me while I'm pregnant. But then if they're not, and then there's at least a year where there's a recovery.
Yeah, you got stitches in there. It's wide.
No, I can't do it. I can't.
Totally. I think more people are accepting that, though. It used to be the societal norm. You have kids, you have a few, and then you buy 27. But now people are like, nah, I think I'm good.
Especially if you have a really good partner. Like for you and Andrew, you love each other, you get on really well. Think of all the money that you'd save. Like you could travel the world together, the independence you have. Like so awesome. There is something to be said to not having kids.
It's weird for me because I always was like, yeah, I'll have kids. But, as the pandemic goes on, and you realize you have some goals to meet. Yeah. And I don't want to resent a child for not giving me a special.
Yeah. And I think that happens with a lot of parents where they, I wanted to write about this, but it just got really sad. Yeah. So I'll figure it out at some stage. But parents have kids and then expect that they're owed something for having them.
Right.
And it's like, you need to make sure before you have a kid that that if you put in 18 years, then goodbye. The kid has its own life. You can't force it to go to a certain college. You can't force it to live your dreams.
Right.
So yeah, I think also as well, I don't know, I'm pretty happy. I don't know. Yeah. I don't need a kid. I don't know. Yeah. People are always like, you'd be such a good mom. And I'm like, yeah, but that's... No, I don't think so. I think I'll just get a dog.
Yeah.
Or be a stepmom.
Stepmom or an aunt. Or an aunt.
Oh yeah, and I've got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Totally. I'll definitely be an aunt.
I would be a fucking killer aunt. Yeah. Call me. I'll be your aunt.
I don't know though if my brothers and sisters will end up having kids either. Like who knows the way things are going.
After this year, I think people are like restructuring everything. People are quitting their jobs. They're pursuing different careers. They're like, I only have one life.
Yeah, there is overpopulation anyway though, and that's why these viruses come about.
Yeah, I'm not causing climate change too.
Like,
kids.
The world is like, even though I still think that was probably made in a lab, I have no idea. But I mean, the world is like, God, lads, stop having kids.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing injustice to the world.
I agree. If
we just have dogs.
We'll see what happens. We'll see if Andrew puts one in me. All right. Well, I think that's our pod for today. Thank you so much for joining.
This was so much fun. Thank you.
Where can we find you?
Oh, at Katie Boyle Comic on everything.
Everything. Cool. Yeah. And she has a podcast called The Shift.
Yes. It's very fun.
And always you can find me, So Maddie Smith. If you're watching, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. If you're listening, you can watch this. It's so fucking awesome at patreon.com/Maddie Smith. Episodes drop every Monday. Thank you guys. See you next week.